Welcome back to Glad We Had This Chat. On this week's episode, we are discussing retraining as a facialist when you thought you were going to be a lawyer, starting a brand with your spouse, and the importance of honouring your heritage when you do so. It's Sabrina Elba. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
I can't thank you enough for having me. I'm so excited to be here today. And actually, the whole team was excited. We're all excited to be here.
We're all excited. Everyone's like, she's here. I'm like, I can see her miles away. Look how tall she is. She looks like an Amazonian goddess again.
I actually am very tall, aren't I?
How tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
No, I'm 5'10". You're not 5'10".
I am 5'10".
There's no way you're 5'10".
Should we stand up? Will the cameras catch us?
Well, we can try. Who cares?
Okay. Go.
Look.
Back to back, though, so the team can decide.
See, your hair's bigger.
Oh, my hair's bigger. Yeah. No one thinks I'm
I feel
tall.
like I look lanky and tall. You look.
No one thinks I'm tall.
Yeah.
No one thinks I'm tall. And I see people who I've been in meetings with and I stand up. And if I haven't stood up in the previous meeting, I stand up and they go, oh my God, you're tall. And I'm like, how do you not know I'm tall? I'm the shortest person in my family.
Really?
Yes.
What's your background? Is your family Dutch, maybe?
There is something in there. There's like a Van Landingham in the family.
I like that.
Van Landingham.
How exotic.
I know.
It's very chic.
Yeah.
But I present as tall, so people know I'm tall before they even see me.
But if we're similar and I can see from there, then that must be what they see when they see me.
No, because you give off petite. I don't know. You got a petite energy.
I mean, God bless your soul, but you're a liar.
I think you'll hear this from more people. Now you can pry and be like, why didn't you think I was tall?
Thanks for coming, mate.
This is a good indication of how the rest of the interview will go.
Yes. It's all going to be very structured and mature,
Exactly.
I'm sure.
No, but I genuinely am very happy to be on. I feel honored. You are sort of like mood board when it comes to, founders and women who are really in this industry shouting about all the good stuff.
Shouting.
So thank you.
So we're going to stop there.
We have
in this
to
industry,
shout.
shouting.
We have to shout, don't we? And you were very vocal very early on. Like, I mean, your content and videos have been around. Like, you're an industry standard at this point. And I remember when we launched the brand, it was like, we got to go to Caroline. Got to check in with Caroline.
I know, when you came into the office, everyone was like, Sabrina Elba's coming in.
But I love that you were so receptive to that. You could have usually been like, I'm the OG, go away.
Oh, God, no, my God.
No newbies here. Could have a sign, no new founders, because I'm sure there's one every minute. But
As if.
you were really nice.
Well,
so thank
thank God for that.
Yeah, and gave me lots of good advice, actually.
Did I?
You did. We talked about everything from the packaging to distribution.
Retailers.
I retained all that information.
Training,
Retailers,
which you then did.
Yes, did.
Excuse me. And you were in college with one of my girls as well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. Did she tell you how competitive I got?
No,
so
but she just...
only two people
We
in
should
that
name check
course-
Jada because
Yes.
she'll be very excited.
The amazing Jada, and one before. Only two people in that course, in the history of that course, have ever gotten 100% on the exam. And when I heard that the previous person was someone who'd worked for you and that Jada was trying to achieve the same, I said, well, I'm going to get 100%. Absolutely.
So who was it that worked for... Was it Molly?
It was Molly. Yes, that's
my
right.
niece.
Ah.
That's why.
So I was
No nepotism there. She's a beast.
wanting to get 100%, and I got 99%.
Oh.
And I know what I got wrong, but it just it gave me the motivation I needed in that class because like,
Wow.
I'm going to do this. So thank you for Jada. We're talking about an esthetician course because I am now a qualified.
You're now a qualified facialist.
I know. How exciting. And I have been practicing and annoying everyone I know about letting me give them a facial because I actually genuinely am enjoying it. I think there's something about this kind of giving of energy when someone gets comforted and they feel really good and then they get up and they've got a smile that just is really satisfying. It's really fulfilling. So
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm into the game.
Nice.
I'm not going to say I'm opening a spa
God,
anytime
they're
soon.
going to be
but-
asking now. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
That's different
Friends
level
and
of work.
family.
Friends and family.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
What are your earliest memories then of beauty and skincare? And because am I right in thinking that at one point your trajectory was lawyer?
Yeah, that is right. Actually, I
And
feel
that,
so
your mother must
far
be so
gone.
disappointed.
I know, but how many of us immigrants say we're pre-law? Like, I think I hadn't necessarily decided that for myself. It was a bit of familial pressure and cultural pressure. And I did a philosophy major at school for the LSATs. And at the time that I had done the LSAT,
And this is where?
decided this is Canada.
Yeah.
And I graduated from SFU University and going to UBC to do law. I deferred for my first year, the same year I met Idris.
Oh, that went tits up then.
Well, kinda. He was like a tornado. Tits up is a really good way to put it, basically. But I thought,
It's a very London way to put it.
let me just explore this. There's no rush.
Wait, you saw Idris and went, let me explore this. You said it. I didn't bring him up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm respectful.
But you can understand why, maybe. Sorry to put you in an awkward. So yeah, I did, and I moved to London, and I thought I can always go back if I wanted to do law school, and actually, sort of, happened at this cusp in my life where I kind of was going two ways already. I didn't know if that was what I wanted to do because my family wanted me to do it.
Well, you have to do it for you.
And I hadn't actually explored other sides of myself. I hadn't tried entrepreneurship. I hadn't tried fashion. I mean, all the things I'm doing now, the philanthropic work I'm doing, I wouldn't have gotten into it if it wasn't for him. Really, I have to kind of thank him for taking me out of my comfort zone. But my earliest sort of beauty kind of, I guess, skincare influences is definitely my mom. And I feel like you might have met her at one point. I don't know her. Did she meet you? Was she at an event? Because she knows who you are. She talks about you all the time. She'll put you and Charlotte Tilbury all the time because
she puts me up there with CT. Wow.
She's standing over the Instagram videos. She loves just like watching reels and getting education. And especially since we started the brand, because she was very opposite end of the spectrum, natural ingredients, didn't believe in actually, any of the synthetic ingredients that everyone actually all knows and loves. She was of the school of thought that you don't want any chemicals, you don't want anything in a lab, everything should be in your fridge. And to an extent, I appreciated the fact that she would bring in ingredients that, encompassed my heritage, and we get to have these amazing stories. Like early memories of sitting under a baobab tree, my mom putting it in our yogurt saying it's good for your skin. I had no idea what she was talking about. But I also hated it because I was like a Sephora baby. Clearasil, Neutrogena, Proactive, St. Ives, these were my gods. No one was going to tell me.
Those four are like, oh.
I know.
Did you have acne?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it made it so much worse.
Well, yeah, I was going to get there, but okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but you have to remember at that time, I mean, the democratization of skincare knowledge hadn't quite happened.
No, of course.
So we believed marketing in a different way. If Proactive was telling me this was the thing, I was like, well, that's the thing, Mom. You don't know what you're talking about. Can we spend however much money on ordering this subscription thing? And I did. And I abused my skin quite a bit. And you can imagine with someone with melanin-rich skin what that looked like. It was quite harsh. And I have to say I'm slightly thankful for that experience because if it hadn't been such a bad experience around trying to find something for me, I wouldn't have started the brand. So my earliest memories do tie into kind of why I got to where I am now. But I am thankful that my mom showed me this side of a beauty that I would never have, discovered if I'd grown up in another household potentially. So I have to be thankful for it.
Yeah. What were your skin concerns then when you were younger and growing up?
Acne.
Really?
Oh, I was a spotty teenager. It really was. And it was kind of cute. Like looking back, I'm like, I look like a nerd. Like I had a big gap in my teeth. I had a unibrow. And I had a lot of spots. Actually,
no one is believing you, but
I know.
Okay.
I'm not going to say I wasn't cute.
Good.
I was still cute. But I could definitely see where a lot of my insecurities were coming from, for myself. So I definitely was like acne focused, dry skin focused, probably because I was drying my skin so much with all of these like skin barrier damaging kind of formulations. And then I had very, very kind of oily combination skin, so a lot of sebum in my nose. So anything that was on the market that said it was going to dry me up and strip all of that away.
You literally did it.
I'd be like,
and how old are you at this point?
My acne really flared up when I was 13, went away when I was 22, and came back at 30, which I don't tell you. But from 22 to 30, I had some good times. I had some great skin. I was like, I love my skin. And then I was also sort of on birth control and things like that. And you don't realize how much that kind of affects your, hormonal journey. And maybe that's why it came back. But I think adult acne isn't talked about enough, and it can come back.
So when did you go from being an acneic teenager to modeling?
Oh gosh, so modeling is a big term to use for what I was doing.
Okay.
I entered a pageant. The reason I actually entered the pageant was because they were working towards, so my younger sister has an illness called Peutz-Jeghers syndrome. So she was in and out of the children's hospital all the time. And the pageant was supporting the charity directly, going door to door, raising funds for the children's hospital. I met the lady in the mall. She was like, have you ever thought of pageantry? Mind you, I'm tall. I'm a bit exotic for Vancouver, being that there wasn't that many black people. And I think she saw me and went, oh, you should think about it. And I was kind of in my more like confidence kind of phase. I'm like, I think I was 23 or 24 at that point. Yeah. And I'm like walking around with my weave and like feeling really cute.
Checking
myself out and in uni. And I thought, okay, cool. I'm going to try it. And that was maybe the start of a modeling career, because after that, quite a few brands, local brands, mind you, had reached out saying, would you, do some pictures for us? Could you walk down this runway for us? Could you, things like that. But modeling was never like a passion of mine or something I wanted to do. In fact, I love fashion. I don't quite love the idea of modeling. Yeah.
Because you go to a lot of the shows, don't you?
Yeah. And I try to explain to Idris, I'm like, it's like the World Cup. Like, it's like you just want to go see your football teams that you love, and the coaches are the designers, and you just, it's the playoffs. It's serious stuff.
It's serious stuff.
It's serious stuff.
Does he not go to anything with you? You sound like such a wife. Oh, just.
And I don't like, I'm like, he loves fashion, but he finds the whole idea of the effort you have to put in terms of getting photographed, going in. You can't just go and watch. And I kind of get that, but then I also kind of love the glamorous side of that.
Yeah, of
like,
course. I mean, but also he spent, how many years has he been in the limelight? So he spent a lot of years being photographed. I'm sure he's over it.
He's 100% over it. He's like that with all press, all carpets, he's over it. Whereas like he'll turn up in Javianas in a sweater, which true story he has, and I'll be there in a gown.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we doing? And he'll be like, well, I'm sick of all this stuff, but you look nice.
This reminds me of when my husband said that all he needed for our son's wedding, our eldest child's wedding, was a new pair of chinos and a white shirt. That's one of my gym stories I have, like on the back burner. Gym
I haven't met Jim. I bet Jim is lovely though.
He is, but he's also like that.
He's that
same age group, like demographic of man that's just, all right, what's the big deal? Because you do. I get to a point myself, I'm 54, you get to a point where you're like, oh, whatever, it'll do.
You know what the most annoying thing is? Idris will still end up on the best dress list. Who's writing these lists? And,
Women.
Someone is enabling his behavior, is all I'm saying. Yeah. And I'm not saying he looks bad, but I think a little effort.
You've got to step up. He needs to rise to meet you.
He's going to kill me. He's going to be like, don't talk to Caroline anymore.
It's fine. He needs to rise to meet you. He's punching, I'm sorry. Everyone's like, I always say that. Everyone's like, Idris. I'm like,
is that because we're friends?
Sabrina.
No. I like Caroline.
Don't get me wrong. It's not that he's not a handsome chap. But then there's
he's quite cute. He's quite cute. But thank you. That's a very nice thing for you to say. I'm going to say that to him tonight.
I'll just call him and tell him, I'll be like, dude, you are punching. I'll do a video for him. Just remember, you are punching. Working with your partner, how did the idea of the brand come along? Did you not have any kind of hesitation of, all day, every day? Or were you still in the honeymoon phase of, I love him, let's work together?
Yeah, for us, and it's funny because now, having worked together, I have a slightly different view on the gravity of that. But back then, and maybe because we were a bit green in that sense, he had a couple businesses that I had started, doing administration on and some of the logistics and stuff. But we were so eager to just do it. We didn't even think, it's not going to work. It's going to be hard for us to work together. And I think it's because we were so focused on like the aligned dream and the shared cause. And also he's such a champion of like, he wants you to dream big. And I think he'd seen how passionate I was about this issue. And at the time was that I felt that there was nothing really for melanin-enriched skin in the way I wanted to create it. He was like, do it. And he actually said, you're probably going to save money creating your own brand from how much you spend on skincare.
That does sound like Jim.
Yeah. And I was spending quite a bit and complaining quite a bit. So we had this vision to do something, and it actually started as a sense of community. So it was a podcast first, Coupledom, where we wanted to bring people together to talk about relationships. I mean, as newlyweds, that was massively beneficial to us, but also trying to understand that relationship with self, which we felt was the most important relationship, because we thought you had to get that right to get coupledom right. So I don't know if you remember, a lot of the stuff around the beginning of our brand had to do with couples interacting, using the product, friends using the products together, how it would fit in a shelf, how you could pack less. Because for us, that was very much our reality. We created something that we could share.
What was the gap that you had experienced in the market? Because obviously I have strong thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Which we bonded over as well. But from your point of view, when it came to sort of buying things and trying different things, did you just feel that no one was talking to you?
Yeah, it really talking to me. Yeah, I felt, and the beginning of COVID, I'd gone through this kind of like wellness journey, if we'll call it that. Like I was like on YouTube yoga, like what do I do while I'm stuck in the house? Make shapes. That didn't quite work out for me. I'm not a yogi, but I was really impassioned by the kind of Ayurvedic medicines and and that side of like maybe a more Eastern philosophy when it comes to wellness. And I thought, why is that? Well, I guess I'm slightly more connected to that kind of world of looking to the natural world for, you know, inspiration, ingredients, efficacy. And I realized, well, maybe these brands aren't talking to me because they're, you know, they're hitting it from a completely different, they're actually speaking to a majority of people that might benefit their bottom line, in the sense that if you're not catering formulations for melanin-rich skin, you're kind of skimming out some of the good stuff, because you can. I think melanin-rich skin is more sensitive, it's drier, which can lead to inflammation, you know, and irritation, and then redness, and then hyperpigmentation, and it does need a bit of a specialized focus. You need ingredients like that we know and love, like tyrosinase inhibitors, and, you know, other sort of exfoliating actives to kind of maintain some of the issues around hyperpigmentation. You need antioxidants for the inflammation. There wasn't anything that was speaking to me holistically like that. In fact, I only found that kind of all-encompassing ethos when I went kind of Eastern. And for me, that, I'm sort of using Eastern as a big umbrella, turned to be a beauty. And it made me go, oh, my mom was right, because she was using amazing antioxidants. And there's a truth to that. I genuinely believe that skin barrier health is one of the most important and probably the least, at the very least, what you should be doing to maintain skin health. And this continent that we are from had a plethora to choose from. So I'm you know, thinking about what melanin-rich skin needs, and I'm relating it to my own kind of heritage, and I kind of go, oh, there isn't a brand that looks at these issues holistically. There isn't a brand that incorporates a beauty. And in fact, Black founders and African founders should probably be the ones to lead that. So I did.
Those Sable Labs, which I have to say I was ashamed, I didn't get the name until I think you were sitting in front of me. Because I'd seen it, I'd seen the pack, I'd done it, and you said, well, it's our name backwards. And I went, what is? And you were like, Sable. And then I literally went, oh, Elba's, oh my God. I'm a bit slow.
But it's not just you. So many people say to me, so is it like Sabrina and Elba? And
oh,
is
wow.
it like, yeah. And I'm, but you know what? It's our fault, because I think we're just expecting people to see it. And we've had to kind of incorporate some marketing where it kind of spins or something.
It's a great name.
Thank you.
A bit slow on the uptake.
So Sable
clearly.
is also a rich brown color. And to us, I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. Like that our, you know, names have turned into that. But that was Idris and his creative juices flowing. I can't take any credit for that.
How were you when you came to testing the product? Because most people at home won't know. I mean, my people who follow me will, but I would say the odd brand, and of which mine is one, but most brands are still tested on Caucasian skin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this was such a huge one for us.
Solely
it was so
on
frustrating.
Caucasian skin, especially if it's a brand from like East Asia.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of the third parties we were speaking to, and we knew this going in, because we knew that was one of the issues around marketing and creating products for melanin-rich skin. In the first place, brands weren't doing this. But a lot of the third parties we were speaking to would tell us that they're diverse. And when we would sort of dig in and go further, they're diverse within, you know, what's around them, but actually not diverse when you're looking at covering all phototypes, all ages, you know, and that was such a passion project for us. Like we said, you know, we're not working with anyone unless the testing needs to be completely inclusive. Like like not inclusive to just say it is, but inclusive because it actually acts upon the word. And that took a long time to find the partner. That actually is what stalled. One of the things that stalled us going out, because you think you've got it all sorted, and then you realize, oh, we're never going to find a testing partner. We're never going to, you know, those last little bits. And we're like, we don't want to put it out until we've done that. And then, so it was really frustrating. But you know how frustrating all that kind of third party stuff is.
What is your current skincare routine then? If you talk us through kind of what you do, just day to day, and then any newness that might be coming our way from Sable Labs. Are there things yet that you haven't made where you're like, you're working in the background and you're desperate to get hold of it?
Yeah.
Or it's not quite there?
Oh yeah. NPD. I admire you and your brand's, you know, NPD efforts, because I actually find it one of the most intimidating things to plan out as a brand, especially small brands.
NPD is new product development.
Yes, and looking at your pipeline, sort of how that kind of feeds in throughout your year and your next year. And I'm so thankful to have a CEO who's like, no, we cannot do it next week. No, it's not going to happen in a year. No, because if it was up to me, I'd just try and do it all at once, and it doesn't work that way, right? And there's so much kind of testing and groundwork and things that just take time. Like finding the right packaging takes time, right? But I am through and through Sable, and I do benchmark products. I think the best products are made from benchmarking favorites. I really do, and finding a consolidated group of products you love. And I do that all the time, but I stay true to Sable because I genuinely want to know if my skin's doing better, because what have I changed? And I think the best way to formulate is testing on yourself. Because in a sense, I did kind of create these for myself. And I can say that selfishly, right? Yeah. I want it to work
I'm
for
the
me.
rabbit. We don't test on animals. We never will. I'm the rabbit.
Exactly. Yeah. And we take very much the same initiative. Me and my team are the rabbits. And it's nice because my CPO is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Jess, who you've met. And as much as it works for me, I want it to work for her. So we're trying to constantly prove to people that actually formulating for melanin-rich skin has amazing benefits for people who don't have melanin-rich skin. Her issues around redness are alleviated when I'm trying to calm my inflammation. Yeah. And, these things have sort of like a marriage between them that can't be ignored. And I think actually people should look to melanin-rich brands or brands formulated for melanin-rich skin as maybe brands that might be better alternatives, especially when you talk about hyperpigmentation.
Yeah.
Because, we've kind of been dealing with it a long time. So it's nice to be able to say that people are looking to African founders and Black founders as the experts in that field. And I think there's an ownership of that field that can really happen, which I'm excited about. But I have so many products I want to make. Sunscreen has been up there.
Please don't talk to me about sunscreen. So every day.
So stressful.
Every day. Someone's like, is your SPF out next week? I'm like, oh no.
Gosh. And then don't even get me started on the testing and all that. But we have been extremely passionate about wanting to make a fully mineral sunscreen that doesn't leave a cast on melanin-rich skin. I know. Thank you. I
don't say that negatively. I mean it. Like, good luck.
So
because people send them in, the brands that I do, they send them in like, there's no cast. And I literally go to my team, anyone on my team who's basically darker than me, I go, can I have your hand? And they go, what is it now? Yeah. I go like that and they go, oh, no. And then they walk off and I'm like, well, that's the test.
My younger sister is that person for us. I was like, hold on. We need to put it on Hibok. Oh, darn.
Are you the same Fitzpatrick scale, you and your sister? Are you
no, so she's darker than yeah, exactly. And my biggest annoyance is me, and I don't know if I should say this, but I just found out today, a mineral sunscreen. I'm not going to say the name. I'll tell you after. That I love.
I bet I can guess.
That is sold online is actually lying about being a mineral sunscreen. I found this out today.
You can tell me after and I'll just blow them up.
I've been talking to people about, and like trying to benchmark to this level of sheerness. I'm like, how is this even possible? And it's not even real.
That's
it's
how
not
you
possible.
know.
That's and
it's just not. It's
very
can I ask
hard.
you why you want mineral? We'll go deep into skin, but why do you want mineral?
It's
Because
not
I'm all
like-
about the traditional chemical SPF.
Yeah,
I do not want to use a mineral SPF.
And it's not a make or break it for us. I find in our ethos where we're trying to avoid potential sensitizing ingredients because we don't want any triggers to inflammation, having a mineral option could be a great option for people who have reactions to chemical sunscreens.
Obviously.
Yes. And that is the reason. And I also think it is better for the planet, although there are great alternatives chemical. You don't think so? Are you thinking about nano? Is that why?
No, zinc farming.
Zinc farming. See, me and Caroline need to have some conversations.
If you think about SPF, it takes people years to make an SPF.
Yeah.
Like Allies, SPF is out like last week.
And
it's fantastic.
I do like the gel one.
They've been around for ages.
Good.
100%. It takes brands a long time. Unless you are an SPF company, it takes a long time. And I'll say to people, there are brilliant SPFs out there and I will continue to champion them until we get to where we want to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I think also as a founder, having that kind of creative play and you learn from life experience. I kind of needed to know that mineral sunscreen I loved was a dupe or a fake. I mean, not even a dupe.
It's annoying, isn't it, when you find out things about the industry like that? It really gets my back up because it's like I'm out here we're trying to do our best work.
Yeah.
And then it's people like that give us all a bad name.
Who are just lying.
Liars. You're a liar.
I was trying to say to my team today, should they be arrested? Like, what happened? Like, there needs to be some level of justice.
Depending where they're sold, where are they sold?
It might just be DTC.
No, what country?
UK. Yeah. I don't know. We'll talk about this.
Yeah, we will.
I need to vent.
So what is your routine? We got totally sidetracked with SPF.
Yes.
So
Cleanser, toner,
mist.
Moisturizer, and my serum twice a day, which is my retinoid. So I'm off prescription retinoids. That, to me, Simran HPR, which you actually use in one of your formulations, is enough, and it's working. And, maybe I'll change that in the future if we do something a bit different, but I'm in love with my routine. I'll use the micellar water in the morning, and I use a mask once a week or as a spot treatment. I do get facials quite often. So once a month, I'm doing something like a hydrofacial or something like that. I love a facial. So people always ask me, well, how do you go so long without like a physical exfoliant? Which I do find our mask actually can be a physical exfoliant. It is because I do a lot of upkeep and maintenance in terms of facials, which, you know, can be relaxing, but also a good thorough cleanse, right?
For sure, if you're doing the traditional. Where they, you know, lay down, cleanse, bit of exfoliation, bit of a steam going on there. Please don't steam me, I'm 54 with broken veins.
I know, but you can just put it further away, you know?
I know.
I always tell people to always put it a bit further away anyways, because I think it feels nice close, but there is a risk there, right?
And it gets too hot. Like, if it's too hot, I'm like, I'm already hot, guys.
Yeah.
menopausal.
I wonder if it can be a trigger for melasma as well, because people do...
Well, it's heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
What did you find most interesting when you did the course? When you were training, what did you find? What was most surprising? Did it debunk a lot of things that you had kind of...
It debunked a lot.
Right.
Yeah, it debunked a lot. And a lot of stuff doesn't work. There are maybe like 6, 7 ingredients we know that actually just work, and everything else is, does it work? I don't know. Maybe it does. You know what I mean? But you know what? One little thing that I found really interesting was our professor said, I'm calling her professor, I love her, Carol. She said she doesn't believe milia happens through an eye cream or happens because of an eye cream.
No, I don't either. Or a rich cream.
I had always thought that
I get
was
that
the
all
case.
the time.
I know. And
I've used an eye cream that's too rich.
avoided.
I've got milia. I'm like, that's not why I've got milia.
I found that really interesting. So as we know now, what actually causes milia is probably your genetic disposition more than not.
More than not, yeah. I mean, everyone will say it's a thick eye cream or a thick rich cream. Coincidental.
Right.
I always
bad
found
luck.
that to be strange because the people I find have the most milia have the driest skin.
Oh, interesting.
And they use the richest cream.
So it could be a correlation there, actually, between dry skin
Or
and
they're
milia.
not using the right, or they're letting their skin dry out, sorry, to be, like, if I've let my skin dry out,
Right.
I'll get milia.
Right.
But I think what happens is people will then use something rich and think it's the cream.
Right.
That's my...
Interesting.
I mean, you know, it's good though, isn't it? Because when you do your course and then you get the achievement of getting through it and being like, oh, wow, I have this piece of paper that shows I at least made an effort to learn something. In my case.
Yeah, but I'm so thankful I did it. I don't come from a skincare expert background. I'm just an extremely passionate person with slight OCD and will go above and beyond to make sure that I'm putting as much knowledge and care into my products, my brand, because I do care. And, you know, it wasn't because I necessarily want to open up a spa or a clinic and give people facials. It was because I thought that is a great way to learn more. People forget how much facialists know. Yeah. I didn't realize.
I still think there's little respect for it.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
Just a lack of respect for the training that you go through.
Absolutely. Just being in that setting, in that classroom, with everyone around you who's passionate about it, it just gave me this kind of energy that I'm like, oh, I love what I'm doing. I just want to do it all the time, and meeting like-minded people who just want to like cater to, like, your facialist just wants to make you happy. Like, don't forget that. Nice. They just want to make your skin look nice, and all we do is go to them and complain, and you know, and good people. Good
it
people
is like being a therapist.
It is a bit like being a
Not
therapist.
just a facial therapist, but a therapist.
Yeah,
because
it is.
I'm
obsessed with the massage techniques now. Like, just,
are you?
You can tell when you've made someone feel good.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, something about that process, that transfer of energy, I'm going to sound really nerdy, but I believe it's like a transfer of energy, like this positive, like, I'm going to make you relax. I'm going to force you to relax.
You will relax.
Yeah, and I have a friend, one of my best friends growing up, and she was like, I don't want you to give me a massage. And I sat her down and I was like, just get on this bed. I'm giving you a facial. And she was like, almost started crying. She was like, that was the best massage and release. And I was like, that's what I want.
You got good
people
hands,
to
you can
remember.
tell.
Long fingers.
Yeah.
Don't look too close away.
No, it's not like piano players, like guitar or piano players, and you got good hands for.
Thanks. I'll give you a facial sometime.
I would snore all the way through it.
Oh,
it's funny because people, if I don't have them that often, and when I do, they always like give me like the trainer or the head person. I'm like, I really don't. I'm not that person who's going to lie there and go, you've done that wrong. I will be asleep before you finish cleansing.
Right. I can imagine. I promise you, I will be asleep. Whoever is doing you is so nervous. Like, oh God, it's Caroline.
I know,
Hirons.
but there's no need. Like, I very rarely, I don't think I've ever called anyone out. I mean, I snore all the way through it.
I'm quite picky now.
About who you
that
do.
was the only negative aspect to that course. I've become quite picky.
Very picky.
There's a couple brands where I'm just like,
yeah, it does make you a bit
doing
like,
anything.
That's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I call them like birthday facials or maintenance facials.
Yeah.
Like once a year, if you go once a year for your birthday and you want it to feel nice and it's nice, that's fine.
That's a really good way to put it.
If you want to get shit done.
Yeah. There's a different kind of facial
You need good hands and good machinery. On the other side of things, complete 180. How do you go from that and then like lawyer and then this and then facials to then working with United Nations?
Oh, right. Okay.
Because I saw you and I'm like, do you not do enough? I'm on your Instagram like, okay, so now she's in Africa. Oh, right, okay, so that's just Tuesday.
Oh, that's nice. Well, look, I honestly think if I could do anything for the rest of my life, as much as I do love skincare, I love getting to work with the rural people that I work with. And however I get to do that, I am so proud to be a UN Goodwill Ambassador for IFAD. So IFAD is the International Fund for Agricultural Development, bit of a mouthful. And if someone had told me I was going to be working in agriculture before I started, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I know nothing about farming. But actually, I've come to learn so much depends on those rural communities and how they can take care of themselves. Agriculture is an amazing means for entrepreneurship. If you can live off the land you live on, you are making a difference for yourself, your future path. It weans you off of the aid model, which I think is just a Band-Aid and is a little bit cyclical, although it is needed, of course. There's a time and a place. Giving people a way to kind of become independent is so much more important. Yeah. The other thing is that we don't realize that these rural people are the face of climate change. Here in the global north, we can talk about climate change like it's miles away. Like it's not, it's some distant dystopian future. In Africa, it is on their doorstep. Through the global south, it is on their doorstep. Like these people wake up and, oh God, I was just in Zambia. They'd missed the whole rainy season. It just hadn't happened. Jesus. It didn't come. And we were driving around. You
can't even joke with that and say we got it because we've certainly had a lot of rain. Yeah. But the shift is terrifying.
It's terrifying that that's already the case. It's just gone. And all of the crops along the side of the road, burnt, gone, completely gone. This is people's capital, this is people's livelihoods, gone. They have no ulterior options there when they're in rural communities. They need this land. So IFAD looks at ways that people can adapt to climate change. So that's more like things like crop resilient or climate resilient seeds, right? Right. Different irrigation measures. Yeah. Yeah, because adaptation is a huge part of it. People just focus on the mitigation, okay, well that's happened now, let's like try and fix it. But actually how are we preventing? Kind of like our approach, both of our approaches to skincare, right? Yeah. It needs to be preventative. And working with rural people has just like changed my life. Like I think as an African, I kind of was growing up in a world where there was a lot of poverty porn on TV, and there was like a maybe a bit of a stereotype around Africans. And
for sure.
I'm a starving African.
I'm a Live Aid girl.
Right.
I'm an 80s girl. We witnessed
it. Exactly. Yeah. And I remember someone at school said to me like, oh, doesn't everyone in your country have flies on their face? And I was just like, oh.
Oh my God.
But like also, that's all he saw. That is all they saw, right? Sure. It's not what I saw, because I'd go back home and my family, hardworking people. Very, of course, different, opportunities, different circumstances, but very hardworking people. And when I go to these rural communities and I see how hardworking those people are, I'm like, this is all I want to do. I want to shout at the top of my lungs for the people whose voices can't be in that room, that they are ready to work, they just need investment.
Has there been anything that you can incorporate with the brand in terms of ingredients and things and the farms that you use and that kind of thing? Have you been able to sort of, when you're sourcing?
I got really lucky having that kind of background knowledge in my pocket because when we come to the point where we were formulating with the lab and we started questioning where those ingredients were coming from, it didn't take me long. It didn't take me a lot of numbers calling to find out that actually the whole sector in the beauty industry can be very abusive because it's contributing to large-scale agriculture, which can ignore, basic necessities, basic needs, basic pay for so many rural people. I mean, when you're talking about deaths in agriculture, it's because there's unsafe working conditions in these areas around ingredients like shea, which is so overused. It's in toilet paper in America, like it says, with shea. I always say that to people because I'm like, that is how much shea is used. It's almost in every formulation. Yeah. So I had that knowledge. I wasn't then going to contribute to that, especially not with the work that I'm so passionate about. So I thought, if we're going to do this, we need to do it in a way that the sourcing is traceable. So we're going to engage communities and rural people who we can find the ingredients that we love and actually who introduce ingredients to us. Yeah. Which is also an amazing storytelling and sharing process that I love and enjoy. And we're going to do it the right way. We're going to pay them what they deserve, market rates. We're going to help them build infrastructure around that community. So fill out safety sheets, DHL forms, get that sent out, get ingredients on the European portal that might not be in the portal. And that's going to become one of the, sort of core pillars of our brand. even the okra serum that we just launched, like it was so exciting to think, oh, this is a huge part of my heritage. I mean, my mother-in-law's trying to force this okra stew recipe in my house. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to get this. Down to, oh wow, I found this amazing group of women in West Africa who are farming this ingredient. We don't have to source it from America. Okra isn't from America.
No,
Okra is from Africa. Yeah, and it's become, and sorry, I talk so much because I get really passionate about it, but I love that we get to say as a brand that we are bringing people up along with us and bringing ingredients up along with us, because those ingredients have been appropriated. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
How many people know baobab from the trees in Kenya versus how many people know baobab from Erewhon or Whole Foods? You know?
Wow.
That those ingredients get stripped of their heritage. They get stripped of the beautiful faces and hands and heart that went into farming them. And they get plastered on with a label that talks about the calorie intake and put in a health food store.
On a shelf.
You know?
On a shelf.
Call it a superfood. Yeah. But it is a superfood because it has, you know, an amazing story and heritage behind it. Let's give it that. And we never shy away from putting those weird ingredients on the front of our bottles. Like, I'm like, even if it has a funny name, I want to put it on the bottle, like bustle, because people should learn about it. And A-Beauty is coming. It's powerful and it's a huge contender because it's got years and generations of testing and passed down traditions.
Being passed down.
Yeah. And I think if people ask me, you know, well, what is A-Beauty? What should it be known for? I'm like, a climate full of the most potent antioxidants you have ever seen, because the climates are so harsh. So the continent's abundance in antioxidants is something to be taken seriously, and ones that we've never heard of.
And supported financially.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, amazing.
I like that. Yeah. So we give 15% of our profits to Farm Africa, who help us kind of find some of those sourcing stories. An amazing organization. But we also actively find and look for ingredients that we can source from communities, because we just love to do it. Like, it really is a fun way to formulate.
When you're looking at putting the messaging out there of the brand, and you're talking about the faces and the hands and that, are you actively aware of using anyone with a melanin-rich skin as opposed to the generic that we get?
You mean in terms of the marketing side of it? Yeah, but this is an interesting one. And I'm actually glad you brought this up, because I get asked more than anything else, so does your brand only work for black skin? Is like, it's probably the number one thing I get asked.
Wow.
We don't do that to K-Beauty, for instance. We don't go, oh, isn't K-Beauty only for Korean skin? You know, we think, oh, I want a piece of K-Beauty.
Or
I want a piece of
J-Beauty,
Yeah, exactly. What is it about a brand that has a black founder that makes people feel that it's not for them? And I have a theory here. My theory is that it's actually not the consumer's fault. It could be a retailer fault. 9 times out of 10, black products are in a separate aisle.
Or behind a lock.
Exactly.
And
I
depending
think
on where you live.
I think that can tell people these products aren't
It's not for you.
It's not for you. Exactly. And actually, are they even for us? They're not even made by black founders. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
a lot of them
for
are over-processed, terrible. Yeah. And so I don't think it's anyone's fault, but I worry if we use a lot of, you know, black models or we go too heavy on one side, that people will forget that our products are for all skin. So we you know, our biggest tagline that we try to use all the time is melanin inclusive, better for all.
Yeah.
So it is inclusive of melanin-rich skin, meaning that it can be better for all skin, not that it is, you know, just for black skin.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But then at the same time, like, I always wanted a brand to champion my skin, so I don't want to shy away from highlighting the beauty of African skin. I want to use black models. I want to use, you know, models who can connect to the heritage of the brand. It's just this weird balance.
So you can tip the scale one way or the other.
Yeah,
It's, I mean, I
exactly.
think it's admirable though, because, you know, you've got a big asset. The one who probably approached you and said, babe, don't be a lawyer, come marry me. But he's not out there at every opportunity, which is admirable, because there are certainly people who, there have been other brands founded by wives, the other side of the Atlantic, and the husbands rolled out at every opportunity. You know.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of that. But for us, it was a bit of a conscious decision, because I do think he's so shiny, he might take away from the efficacy of a brand.
And
the
you have to stand on your
legitimacy
own.
of the formulations. Exactly. I want us to be a brand that has its own feet, that stands on its own, where I have peppered in a bit of my, you know, my expertise now and the things that I've learned in my journey, because I think I don't see myself as kind of like that celebrity skincare bracket, but I do think when he comes in, and we have found, you know, at the time that we launched, that journalists can become a bit distracted.
It's distracting.
Yeah, consumers are
Mate, you're a distraction. Go home.
Exactly.
That's-
Just leave. Just go.
Well, that's why, like, obviously, when we're in the office, we go like, you've been to our office, and I'm like, who is it today? And I'm like, I say, oh, Sabrina, and they go, the odd girl who's very, you know, is she bringing her husband?
Yeah,
I'm like,
no,
I hope
but
not.
look,
It's just-
I get it.
No, I don't. I go, not in a horrible way. I'm just like, it's a distraction. No.
He is a
Not in a
big
dismissive
distraction.
way, kind
Yeah.
of in a dismissive friend way, like, go home, dude.
But part of why we think that it is a distraction is because, let's be honest, there was like 1,000 celebrity brands that came out of nowhere that may not have had the same maybe passion and integrity.
Okay, let's
behind
just
them.
cut to the chase. They did not have the
didn't.
same passion.
No, they didn't.
They weren't curated by someone who actually had something in the forefront of their mind, like, I can support a community with this and I want it to be suitable for my family.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I actually think there was a lot of white labeling and just sort of like, you know, faces to brands as opposed to, you know, people who actually wanted to. Yeah, which is really unfortunate. And there was a point in time when we were launching and I was like, not another one, not another one. And
We had about a week where we were bombarded.
Right?
Yeah.
It was bad. And then, of course, poor Brad.
Oh, fuck Brad, I'm sorry. I can't.
But I almost wanted
can't.
to say, you know.
The audacity. The audacity. The audacity.
It's quite bad.
We are talking about Brad Pitt. I'm the one who said that. But
No, he's on a first name basis for us now because we're so upset with him. Brad.
Dude, at least know what you're talking about. At least pretend you use your own product.
Yeah.
You're insulting.
Right?
Show some respect.
It was a little bit of all the founders who were working so hard felt a little slapped in the face when he came on and said something like, oh, I don't really use skincare. I don't know what I'm, you know. And he openly admitted to it. And
Vogue.
it was like,
to Vogue.
To Vogue.
And Vogue
It was to Vogue.
covered it. I was like, and then he said, you know, all these grapes are lying around and no one's really doing anything with them. And I literally placed it and put, dude, have you heard of Cordially? Cordially messaged you. They're like, thank you.
There's a whole brand whose ethos is on the
They've been around for like 30 years, but you do
grapes.
you, Brad.
He
Anyway.
clearly just did. He didn't care, I think.
Go and make tequila like everyone else.
I just want to ask him in person. Next time I see him, I'm asking him. I'm like, did you know? Did you care? And you know what? Maybe he didn't, and he just wanted to do it as a business proposition.
Fair.
Fine. But I think it set a very bad precedent for consumers and put a lot of mistrust out in the industry.
And it's already an
as it
industry
should,
that
maybe.
the media perpetuates you can't trust.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
If you were going to pick a face that isn't yours or the hubby, and it's clearly not going to be Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
when you're making, because we have a sort of person in mind on our mood board when we're making Skin Rocks. It's like, if we could afford them, it'd be like fucking mega. Who would you be like, I would like them to be in our stable? Stable.
You know who I love? Michelle Obama.
I mean, aim low, Jesus. My God.
Probably never gonna get her to be.
I don't know. I think you got more chance than most people.
No, come on. Hey, Michelle. Have you ever
Michelle,
thought about
you're
doing
not busy. You're a lawyer. You're not busy.
Exactly.
You know, you're followed by you
You're
know,
one of the most
security all the time.
accomplished and loved women on the planet. Do you think you could maybe come on over to my Instagram? No, but I think like
Slide into her DMs. You never know.
you know, exactly. Maybe I should try. I just picture someone who cares for the right reasons, and to me, she kind of
And
strikes me as
isn't,
someone
no
who
offense,
cares.
but isn't 20.
Yeah,
And I
no.
say that with love.
Yeah, we definitely are looking at a woman who's a bit older, who kind of understands her skin and the issues around her skin, and
And a man.
yeah, and a man. And we are a genderless brand, and I think people forget that. So we do try and feather that out through the marketing because we don't really want to shout about it. I think most brands should be quite genderless, and but we try and carry that through our marketing and messaging, so that, you know, if it was up to me, the bottles would be pink, for instance. But there's a neutrality there that we are doing to respect sort of the eyes of all. And
You,
so
you
it's a bit of a
show
conscious effort.
that side a lot more respect than I do. I'm like, the cleanser's going to be pink.
I very much want to go.
Do a limited edition.
I love your pink. I
I'm
know.
like, the cleanser's going to be pink. It's the best selling colour in skincare. It's the lowest price point. I'm not stupid. It's a big seller. Boom, done.
I didn't know it was the biggest selling skincare color. Interesting.
Okay, if you're ever in any doubt, go into like an M&S or any John Lewis at Christmas time and just scan.
So true.
Pink.
So true. You know what I love about your packaging is you've got the amounts on the top. It's one of my favorite things. Like I remember being very
it's real
inspired
estate,
by
isn't
that.
it? It's real estate, and you need this, you don't need this.
It's so smart.
Telling people not to buy it. But then they buy it. They're like, well, no, it's fine. I'll take it just in case. I'm like, no, you really don't need this if you've got this. I'll take both just in case.
It's so true.
Okay, God.
And we see that all the time because we have a very minimal perspective on skincare in that our formulations are done sort of with all the actives in mind. So you don't need single ingredient formulations to add on after the fact. But people will still say, oh, I love your vitamin C toner. And I use it with my vitamin C serum.
Oh, God, why?
I'm like, oh, so you double up on the you know you don't need to, right? And actually, that's probably doing more harm than good. But I think people just kind of see them as different things, and maybe it's too overwhelming.
It's definitely too overwhelming.
Yeah, maybe there's just too
definitely
much.
The industry has purposely made it overwhelming, so people just buy and buy and buy.
I think so,
and it's us, people like us, that go to meetings with retailers and say, "There's no newness in Q3. There's no newness in Q4," and they're like, "Well, what are we going to do?
That's a hard
we'll sell
meeting,
what
though.
we have."
Yeah, I hate those meetings. Yeah, those meetings
I'm not
terrify me.
making something for the sake of it.
And I don't think people realize that retailers push brands for newness all the time. So a lot of that stuff you could be getting might not be because it's part of the brand's ethos, or
That's what the retailer wanted.
It's what the retailer
Well, there was
wanted.
a time a few years ago, and I've got 2 questions left after this.
Yeah.
There was a time a few years ago where Sephora in the USA said they wanted to do a vitamin A retinol campaign in January, and that's why Drunk Elephant made a vitamin A. It's why Sunday Riley made a vitamin A. It's why, I mean, there's a whole list, and they all came out in a similar time frame, and then there was a massive retinoid push.
And did you find that out because one of the brands had sort
Obviously.
of... Yeah, that's so interesting to me. But you see it in color. You see it throughout the whole store. Like, blush all come out at the same time. Pressed powder all come out at the same time. Like, you know, it's
you can be like the tail wags the dog sometimes, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I love Sephora. Oh my God, who doesn't?
And also, I do love newness. Don't get me wrong.
We love newness, but for the
it's
right
exciting.
reasons.
Exactly, for the right reasons. And also, the brands, you know, a trust is such a huge part of being a brand. Like, the last thing I ever want anyone to think is that if there's something coming out that I didn't put my absolute heart and passion behind it, and it's out because I care.
Exactly.
And wanted to make it, not because someone pushed me to.
On that point,
Yes.
if your bathroom is on fire, what one product are you going to save?
You know what? It's not even out yet. It's not out yet, but for me, it really is my lip balm. I have the driest lips on, like, constantly cracked.
And you've got one that you're ready with. You're just...
Yeah, I think so. We're kind of... I'm going to let you try it actually after as well. And let me know what you think.
I love a lip balm.
Yeah, I'm trying to give ourselves room to ask questions and see what people think, because what you can do as a founder is get too excited about something and you forget that you want to ask everyone, right? You do. Those opinions only help, I think. I used to be quite maybe sensitive when someone
Please don't
like,
tell me it's crap.
Yeah, exactly. But now I'm like, no, it's the best way to kind of get a realistic expectation of what you're going to
So if you're just going through testing, what are we looking next year?
Yeah, I think so. You know,
Something to look forward
stuff.
to.
Yeah, exactly.
And my final question is, what question did you get wrong on your exam?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so obsessed over this. So they don't tell you what you got wrong, but I know what I knew what I got wrong when I'd gotten something wrong, because there was a question that said in melanin rich skin, I can't remember, I think they said in black skin, how does
You did not get a question wrong about
But I'll
black
tell you
skin.
why. How does irritation display itself? And and darkness and redness, where I knew the answers, but I wanted to fight against the darkness answer because I thought that's not all black skin. On my skin, it's red. Irritation is red.
So
it's
it
just
should be
red.
darkness slash redness.
Thank you. When I said this to Carol, I said, Carol, I don't accept that question was wrong.
What star sign are you?
I'm a Gemini.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Psycho.
I reject your final exam score. Actually, I got 100%. Actually,
So Carol actually works with us now, and I love her.
Carol.
We stole her.
I love it.
Because I was obsessed with her, and I think she was slightly off put by me, but somehow came to work for us. She was like, "You were too obsessed with this stuff. Calm down." She said to me one night, she was like, "Just stop. Just put it away. You'll be fine. Just calm down." And I think I was like, she's right. What's
Okay,
wrong
fine.
with me?
Okay, I'll put it
Slightly
away.
embarrassed because I'm also the oldest person in that class.
I was the
And
oldest person in my class.
I was like, and everyone else is relaxing. They're like, "Oh, gone to the pub, you know, whatever." And
no,
I'm
I
like,
ain't got
I
time.
can't have time to go to the pub.
I went to
Are
the
you
pub. I got to
kidding?
learn this. I've got to go home and I've got things to do.
500 flashcards. I'm gone.
I had flashcards.
I'm obsessed with flashcards.
Well, we have to go now, so we can talk about who's putting out who's putting out SPF products and not being straight up. But
No, we need to talk about this ASAP.
Sabrina, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. And we will obviously tell people where they can buy Sable. But you're in Space NK.
We are.
And
We're
you're D2C.
exclusively
And where
sold
else?
At Space NK and then DTC, US and UK. But Space NK does have international shipping for all our international fans.
Well, thank you. Every success. We wish you every success.
And to you. Thank you so
And
much
I'm sorry
for
I
being
said that your husband's
a
punching.
guide and beacon. No, it's okay.
But you totally are
That was my
punching.
favorite part of the interview, actually.
We're going to make us a little clip out of that and go, "Dear Idris, you're punching."
Exactly. Thank you.